Hiya, Jill.
Hiya, Jack. What homework have we got?
In this module, we are going to design a background picture in a paint or drawing program, and add it as a background in a computer game.
We will be adding buttons, labels, and pictures.
But firstly, in our picture drawing software, we create a blue square, about 14 by 8 millimeters,
and create a small border around the edge.
Add a title to the top. In Microsoft Visual Basic, we create a new project and call it Snakes and Ladders.
Resize the form to 1278 by 800 pixels, and add your picture to the form's background using the Properties window, and set the background layout to stretch.
Open the toolbox and place a label on the form in the bottom right corner and size it in the Properties window. Click Picture box in the toolbox and the form to place it on the form. Add another picture box. You could have used your paint program to put a border around the area where they will appear in the game before you import it into the game form's background.
Add a button to the form, and 2 more picture boxes, and another button in the top right corner.
We will go back to our paint program and add a grid to our board. A start square and a home square. Some snakes.
And some ladders. We can now add numbers to the squares, and it is now beginning to look good. We spice up the squares by adding a bit of color and our board is complete. Replace the old form background picture with our modified one.
When we write the code for the game, we need to know where the counters are and in what direction they are moving. We use the variables ACRI turn, DWNI turn, NI direction to keep track of the counters. To move the counter 1 square, we add or subtract the width value of the squares to ACRI turn, if it is moving across, or the height value of the squares to DWNI turn if moving up or down. We use a code loop within a timer to move the counter 1 square at a time and reduce the dice score by 1. If we reach the end of a row, then I direction is incremented and we exit the loop into another loop. We keep moving the counter until the dice score is 0.
Then it is the next player's turn. We keep going around the board, changing direction, climbing ladders, and sliding down snakes, until a counter reaches home.
If we are on level 1, then the game is over. But with levels 2 and 3 we have to throw an exact score to reach home. If we overshoot, then our counter reaches home then moves backward. Jill needs 1 to win this game, but she has rolled a 6, the dice roll again and her total score is 12. Which means she moves backwards, to square 52.
The values of I direction to do this are shown here. It is now Jack's turn, but first we have to reset the value of I direction to 10.
So that Jill's counter moves forward again when it's her turn.
We will finish the game in the compiler by opening the Properties window to put some text in Label 1. The first 2 pictures of the dice animation. A button picture in the Roll Dice button. And do not forget to set the background layout property to stretch. Click on background color, then the web tab, and choose transparent. Delete any text that is interfering with the pictures and set the button flat style property to pop up. Now reposition the counters to the start square and set their ACR and DWN values to equal the coordinates of the start square.
We need to know all the location values of squares where the counter has to change direction, and the home square. So we can check if a counter is on one of these squares in the timer code loops that move the counters.
Place a label from the toolbox onto the form, and in the Properties window change the text to level, and change the font size to fit the label. Add 3 more labels. Add an easy peasy button picture to button 5. This is the default level, so set the background color of label 3 to green. Add the difficult picture to button 6, and the impossible picture to button 7.
Then change their backgrounds to transparent and your form is complete. All that is left to do is write the code.
Jill has drawn some game backgrounds in the paint program. This one is for a game where an animated character goes to the post box to post a letter. The postman arrives in his van and collects it. You have to drive the van around the streets and deliver the letter to the correct address.
Jack has drawn a background for a game of noughts and crosses, and a space shootout adventure. This one is for a car racing game.
And this is the scoreboard that goes with it. The scoreboard is from a game where the players' scores are saved and displayed on the chart. If you beat a score, then you get onto the scoreboard and knock someone off of the bottom.
This background can be used for adventure games where the player moves around using the north, east, south and west buttons. A picture is displayed of the location, and a description given on the clipboard. The player has to find objects which are displayed in the picture boxes on the left.
Jack and Jill have finished their homework and are going out to play.